I've gotten a lot of requests in this video here on how to make it or how I recovered it, how I built it, what went inside of it. So I kind of laid out some of the things that were recovered with these capsules. This isn't everything needed to build them. It's missing a few things. But they're extremely easy. They're not intimidating. They're extremely fun. You can do it over the course of a couple weeks if you want to start from scratch. To gather everything for this guy over here took me the better part of a year, just because I was kind of buying stuff as I went along. There wasn't any real time crunch. It was just something I wanted to do, and I was trying to teach myself along the way. That was the first one I did, and this one you can see is all function. No real form to it. Bare bones, straight down to business. After that one, I contacted 360 Fly and wanted to know if they wanted to sponsor me and give me some cameras. And I'll talk to the camera choices a little bit later on. But I promised them I'd build them a pretty cool looking capsule. So this one was all for them. It worked great. It's just not the optimal colors to try to recover a capsule in the grass or in cornfields, the woods. It's black and green. You want something essentially bright. So I have a paper right here in front of me that I may be looking down at every now and then. It's just because I don't want to forget anything. Just work you through the thing. What I'll do is I'll talk about it from the top to the bottom, since at the bottom is where the two will change and differ from, and then I can kind of go into that a little bit more. In the description for the video below, I will include a link to everything I show here. Before I even move on, the most important is to check the FAA rules on high altitude balloon, h.a.b, HAB, on their unmanned aircraft section. They have all the rules for both of these. I checked with the FAA. With this one here, I called my contact at the FAA, explained everything to them. I file a NOTAM, a notice to all airmen, at least 24 hours in advance, and you just got to give them where you're going to be at, when you're going to launch, the expected time, the expected altitude. Definitely take into consideration pilots when launching these, because one of these mixed with an airplane, you don't want that, and you don't want that on your conscience. So definitely, before going outside and just launching these, definitely read the rules. Take your time. This video is not to encourage anybody just to run outside and tape something to a balloon and let it go in the sky, because that's extremely dangerous, and I don't encourage that at all. Big open field is extremely important. The first time I did it in a football field. This time was just a really big open field at the bottom of Lake Okeechobee. It's just a really large lake in Florida. There's a large open field that had a nice little metal covering. You'll see we were able to put a picnic table there and put all of our stuff out. Everybody you see in the pictures, it's just, there's Andy, the guy from 360 Fly, who was nice enough to come down and help me out. And then the rest of the people are my family. It was just all immediate family that I can rely on and I can trust, and they were all eager to help out, and I wanted them to be there for the experience. You'll see the tarps laid down, which is really important to keep the grass from popping the balloons, from anything getting tangled up. Keep everything very neat, very laid out. So I just found out just going very slow and smooth is very quick and efficient.
That's taped. Yeah, tape that one. Boom. Boom.
I don't know if I even talked about it, but from Lowe's we have the big painter's tarp. It's just a clear plastic that you lay down, so when you're painting like a room, there's no paint that gets on the floor. Use that to actually cover the balloon. So the plastic just allows it to cover the balloon and provide a large surface area of contact, so you don't have your fingers pushing into the balloon or any jewelry or anything that can kind of puncture it or tear it. And that allows like maximum controllability while the balloon fills up with helium, because it is quite a long process to fill the balloons.
It's hard to be like hard to hold down. Is it hard? Yeah, it's starting there. It's starting to get like a lot of lift.
Once the balloon was almost full, I came down here. You'll see I put the cameras in. I checked to make sure the cameras were on. Made sure the hand warmers were popped on the inside. Made sure the GPS was on. Made sure the phone was on. Zip tied the capsule, duct taped everything up. That means we were ready to go. We were just waiting on the balloon. And then it's all go from there. Hurry up, the germ's up. Good? Yeah.
God bless you, Ricky Bobby. Somebody let me know if it's coming my way and I'm going to blow it. It could go straight up. No, it's not going to go. I don't believe it's going to go your way. It's going to run better. Ready? Yep. Boom, there it goes! Holy crap, look at that thing go.
Starting with the balloons, you can see here. It's a K-Mont balloon. You can call them weather balloons or sounding balloons, but I bought them both times from K-Mont. Now the balloon's gonna have a long neck. What's left of the neck, we're gonna feed it through, and then we're gonna tie it again, and we're gonna tape
feed it through the
carabiner.
carabiner.
Yep.
Just like I did last time. Yep, exactly.
We found the easiest to do was wrap it around a carabiner. That way I could already have the string attached, have everything attached and ready to go. And all we'd have to do is I'd have to hold the carabiner, we fit it through. My dad was the one helping me with the balloon in the video. You'll see we put the bottom of the neck through, tied it twice with strings, then we wrapped it with some duct tape, then we zip tied it, and then wrapped it with some more duct tape. So everything was super secure and airtight.
Here come.
Here you come! You wanna come look at Daddy's balloons? Carabiner. Turn it, flip it over. We'll tie it again. Thank you.
Those used to be my cuticle cutters. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had the string going down, and now the parachute that I used. Here's, ooh, almost knocked that over. You'll see, it's not a very big parachute. You could buy a large model rocket parachute. I find those to be plastic and kind of cheaper, and I didn't want to buy a one-time use parachute. I bought this parachute actually off of eBay. I had no way of attaching the actual parachute physically without damaging the parachute to the balloon. So what I did is I took the Frisbee, cut some holes in it. I ran the string through the Frisbee up to a carabiner which was attached to the parachute, to the balloon, and then I put the Frisbee inside the parachute. Parachute's hole is only that big, probably 5 inches, 6 inches in diameter. Frisbee being much larger, it was a very secure way of connecting it, and it also allowed that when the balloon popped, it was able to drop away. It didn't fall all the way out, it caught the parachute, but it was, you know, it allowed it to fall down in one piece. And doing it in this order here, you don't have to think of a clever way to deploy a parachute. Now the balloon will lift the parachute up, and as it's going up, it's going to keep the parachute closed. As soon as the balloon pops, it starts dropping back down to earth, then the parachute opens up. I don't want to do anything very complex, because the more complex that I make the balloon, the more that can go wrong. I just wanted to keep everything extremely simple, less points of failure, more success. Now, the parachute coming down, attached to a very important part, was a radar reflector. This is so any tower or aircraft in the area can pick it up. I filed down all the edges with sandpaper to make them smooth, that way there'd be no sharp edges to cut the string or maybe potentially hit the balloon somehow. Those balloons are extremely fragile. Now where the two were different is from the bottom of the radar reflector to the capsules, they were attached differently. With this one here, I'll just do the first one here, get these cameras off. I originally tried to use different types of cameras, like this is a little Canon point and shoot, a Sony Cybershot, and another Canon point and shoot. None of them really worked out the way I was looking for. I bought all of those off of eBay. None of them worked out, so I just went with the, at the time, the tried and true method of GoPro. You can see here that the GoPro is very just sandwiched right in there. I'll put it in this one here, that way I can see. Nothing fancy. Weight is a big factor in both of these. It has to be under 4 pounds, but I just wrapped a string on this one around the bottom of the capsule on the sides. Used red duct tape. I put a if found, please call, with some information. I said it was a college project, just hoping to get more sympathy. If somebody did find it, maybe they'd return it more, thinking it was a student's project and maybe a grade, depending on it. I don't know. I just put it there. It was a spare of the moment. I went as far as to laminate the in English and Spanish, please call. On the inside of the capsule, told you I had my GoPro, which is junk. It's not a video hating on GoPro. GoPro stopped working. They said it was their issue and they wouldn't replace it. So I had the GoPro in the inside. I also had a, you can see here, it's just an external battery. Kind of charge cell phones. You can charge anything that plugs in with USB with it. I put one of those in there, and I had a pay-as-you-go phone. And that was what was transmitting my coordinates. This was a, I think this is a Boost Mobile. Battery's dead. Boost mobile phone, pay-as-you-go. I just did the data plan. I turned off, in the settings, I turned it to not allow any phone calls through that were not in the phone book, and the only number I put in the phone book was my number. I didn't know if it was going to land in the grass or if it was going to land in a neighborhood. Hopefully it wasn't a neighborhood, but I turned the volume all the way up, because this can also help you find the capsule. Say it's behind a bush and you're looking and you can't find it, and you call the cell phone because you know you're in the area, because you got the tracking software downloaded. It'll be something audible that you can hear. The tracking software I keep talking about is accutracking.com. I'll put a link for that. It was $6 a month, in addition to the Boost mobile plan that I had to do the data plan for. Two separate things. So the data plan here, I think this was only $30 at Best Buy. And now I have a cell phone that I don't use. So I had that in there. I had the GoPro on the inside. Everything was hot glued. Hot glue is definitely your friend. Yes, I bought this little flower one here just for this, knowing my wife could use it for her project afterwards and she would be upset. I'm going to cut to some pictures of both of these. You'll see this one in the air. You'll see how it's very plain Jane looking, but gets right down to the point. Getting that one back was quite a challenge. Actually, you know what? Going back up to the balloon. At any gas or welding supply, you can get one of these. Maybe even a party store, you can get one. I don't know if they'll rent these with the helium tanks or not, but it's a little gas gauge, and it's got a little nozzle that goes on it to fill balloons. You'll see them at your grocery store if you want to go get balloons. Push this nozzle. I unscrewed this, took this off at Lowe's. That's the hardware store next to my house. That's why I keep mentioning Lowe's. Got a brass fitting that was barbed on one side and threaded on the other. Screwed it in. Put some of this 3/8 inch vinyl tubing, and we're talking probably 8 feet. That way I could get far away from the helium tank to the balloon. And I know you can't see it because I covered it with duct tape. But there's a barbed fitting on this side as well, and I took this PVC, 1/2 inch, put a cap on it, drilled a hole, and then I threaded in the barbed fitting on this side, used a hose clamp to clamp it all together, and then covered everything with duct tape so there's no sharp edges. On this side of the PVC, I sanded down to get rid of that edge, and this allowed us to be able to fill the neck of the balloon and actually have a secure surface to hold on to and keep it far enough away from the helium tank, that way nothing would get punctured and ruin it at the last minute. Everything was very inexpensive, everything you can find at the store. Everything. I think the only thing I had to order out of all of this was the radar reflector. Just because the boating store by my house was twice the price for the exact same reflector, so I just ordered it. But this was just a medical cooler. Actually, I got this Permacool. I got this from my grandpa. It's a lot thicker than a normal styrofoam container, and keeping the inside warm is incredibly challenging when you're at altitude, because it could be negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit and your batteries will die up there. So in addition to everything that was inside the case, I went to Target and got some camping hand warmers and toe warmers and popped those, threw those in there last minute. That way it could keep the inside nice and toasty for the batteries, keep everything working, keep everything from shutting down. This one, I had a lot more riding on it, and I'll show this one. You can see the little arms. This one here's got like a more futuristic space look to it, right? But actually this started life as 2 bait coolers that I bought at Bass Pro Shops. I think I paid $10 for this capsule. It was white and it had some little ridges on the side. It opens in the middle, and being it was a bait cooler, it had handles that went through here and here. So those 2 points, when lined up with each other, were a perfect mounting location for zip ties. Feed it right through, zip it together, and you're secure. Other thing for the other side, and you're done. On the inside of this, you can probably see some red inside there. I butchered one of my wife's Tupperware containers. I glued just a plastic lid to the inside just to give some kind of structural integrity, since I did have cameras that were not out on the market yet, and I promised the company I'd get them back since they were so awesome about sending me everything I needed. Now, as much fun as all this is, if you've ever seen Zombieland, Rule 32, enjoy the little things. This capsule was not about to fly without my absolute favorite little piece of the whole thing, Benny. Benny's a little astronaut from the Lego movie. Benny got to go to space. But back to the capsule. So this is not like an hour-long tutorial for you guys, because I know it'll be long-winded. I'm sorry about that, I apologize. You can see the white styrofoam on the inside still. What I use to paint it, spray paint will eat away the styrofoam. I guess there's some type of RC or hobby spray paint that you could use. I found it was a lot easier just to use from Joanne. Is it Joanne Fabrics or Michaels? It was one of the two. It's called Artist's Loft, and it was Mars Black. But it went on great. It was awesome. Looks great. Very durable. Dried real fast. I used here's the 360 fly here. Now what would happen is a 360 fly, I don't know how well you can see. I took a little bit of styrofoam, put this on top, and I hollowed out the inside to actually cradle the 360 fly perfectly. And see, it locks in, and on the top half, close your redundancy, I had tethers for the 360 fly. One was attached to the top 360 fly, one was attached to the bottom 360 fly. And that just, if it came out of its mount, if it got a jolt and went to fall to the earth, it wouldn't be a little video camera grenade coming down. It would just hang and enjoy the rest of its journey. With this capsule here, I didn't want to leave it up to just the cell phone as last time. If this phone got wet for any reason, it would have cut out. Or if I lost signal, it would have cut out. So not only did I put the cell phone, I also put this little guy. I put this little spot trace right here. I don't know if you can see my hand. I'm sure you know the size of a GoPro. You'll see my GoPro. And you'll see how small the spot is compared to like a GoPro. It's tiny. And this was the backup for the cell phone in case the cell phone stopped working. I'm going to destroy my capsule now. The spot worked flawlessly. I would highly recommend using this instead of a cell phone. It was only 4 ounces. That's 114 grams. It's extremely light. That's with the batteries. And I'll tell you what, as soon as we launched the capsule, 3 minutes later my cell phone cut out and it never actually recovered until I got home. We were out in the farmland. So I would never have found it if it wasn't for the spot. The spot led us exactly to it. I think it was pinging 5 feet off from where it was actually found. So this is amazing. And now I have a GPS to put wherever I want and do whatever I want with it. But something else I did was, instead of using this incredibly heavy battery backup here, I went out at Target. I found this monster power card, since weight is a big issue. And I don't know if you can see the difference here or not, but it's like the size of a credit card. Super thin, super lightweight, and it works, in my opinion, works day and night better than this old brick ever did. Once I had everything inside the capsule, the cameras were on the top here, the camera was on the bottom down here. I had the spot inside here. I had Benny the Lego man. I had the power card that was plugged into the cell phone. Cameras were on. I had the hand warmers inside of it. Zip tie the outside. And then I put some black duct tape around the whole seam just to make sure everything was together. That way the zip ties couldn't pull out and the whole bottom half sit there and dangle the whole time. 1 cubic foot of helium can lift 28 grams, which is roughly an ounce. So that comes out to 16.19 cubic feet, lifts roughly a pound. Every pound of lift you have equates to 300 feet a minute ascent rate. So if you want to do 900 feet a minute, you're gonna need an extra 3 pounds of lift on your payload. Definitely keep folders, notebooks, every little thing. Make sure you make a checklist. The first page, I think on both of these, make sure you keep a checklist of everything. Launch zones. Don't just pick one zone. Pick like zone A, zone B, zone C. And if you want to go as far as D, you can do D. I picked 3 zones that I could launch from the morning of with this guy here, just in case weather changed last minute and didn't allow me to launch from that site for optimal landing. I could easily change it up, and they were all within like a 20-mile radius of each other, but it was just different points around depending on how the wind goes, because the only thing that moves these guys around is the wind. And I took the latitude and longitude of each landing zone. That way when I called to do my NOTAM, I could tell them exactly where I was going to launch from. I could tell them the ascent rate that I had calculated, the maximum altitude, and the descent rate. And with the ascent rate, maximum altitude, and descent rate, you can get a approximate flight time. So you know the window to tell them to look out for, so they can tell pilots to look out for, and stick with it. If you find yourself going an hour behind schedule, call them back. Let them know. Don't just wing it and hope that nothing happens. I went to a welding supply store, actually, and that's where I got my helium from. I didn't have a tank. I don't have a special license. I just called them, asked them how much time in advance I needed to reserve a tank. They told me just the day before. So I reserved a giant, one of those big industrial tanks of helium. Yeah, I almost died. I almost fell off the wall just now. I think it was 244 cubic feet of helium. So I had more than enough helium. Just showed up with a truck. They loaded it in the back for me, signed the papers, went off and did my thing. After the weekend was over, I was able to bring the helium tank back. But you pay for the helium itself, and that was, honestly, besides the cameras, that was the most expensive part. There's flight prediction software out there. I looked for the website just now. I don't have it written down. I have it bookmarked on my laptop. And what you do is you just take the latitude and longitude of where you're going to launch from. You take your ascent rate and you take your descent rate, and I believe your maximum altitude, maybe your weight of the capsule and everything together. You plug it into their site, and they'll show you in a really nice 3D model of your projected flight path and your maximum altitude, where the balloon is expected to burst at, and it's incredibly accurate. I don't know the site to tell you. I'll put that in the link below, but that's what I used, and I started doing projections 2 weeks out so I could kind of get a trend every day, and I got obsessive over it. I did it 3 times a day for the last couple days, but I put in all the measurements I had, and I could just watch what it was going to do if I launched it right then and there, or if I launched it the next day. And the day of the launch, right before we filled up the balloon with helium, I did it one last time. That way we could get an approximate area of where it would land, and we knew exactly what to expect from this flight. Stand up. Hi.
Look at Daddy Balloon.
Look at Teddy's balloon. Stand right there. This was one of my search party members. Lily, say hi.
Hi.
Right there. Wave hi. Right here. Wave hi.
Hi.
Say, I'm Lily.
I'm Lily. Look at Daddy
You look at the balloons. Are you all sweaty? You've been playing? If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. I got both. Yeah. Both of these were done, launched, recovered. All the footage was done in a day. I launched this one here at 8 o'clock. I launched this one here at like 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. And by 1 o'clock, we were back in the car with it recovered. This guy right here was the problematic one. This was launched at 8. I think I was back home by 2 or 3 just because I had to do a couple mile trek on a wave runner to recover it. But both can be done in a day. Both are very easy to do, very easy to recover. I'm going up to Kennedy Space Center this weekend, so that's kind of the theme of what kind of pushed me over the edge, just to finally say, you know what, I'm going to make the video. They've been asking for it. I'll be bringing the 360 Fly. I had 2 of them. I'll be bringing those this weekend, taking them around the Rocket Garden, taking them around the space shuttle, the actual space shuttle that they have there hanging up. I'll take it around the Saturn V rocket. I'll give you guys just a full tour of what it's like to actually be there. I'll put all those up hopefully the next week. So make sure you stay tuned for all those. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please like it, please share it, please subscribe, check out my other videos. I really do appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please ask in the bottom, and I will be more than happy to get back to you and answer any questions you have with these. So thank you. Hope this helps.